everyone. Kira and Deana here from Raising Adults podcast. What you are about to see is our season 2 finale, live recorded. We decided we'd post a little video for
Just
our
a
listeners.
Sneak peek.
It's a little sneak peek at what the start of the episode is going to look like and sound like. So for those of you that are watching, this is just a little bit before the final episode of season 2 airs on Monday. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Raising Adults podcast. Kira and Deana here. And wow, we've got some admin, but we have a really exciting thing. Let's do that first.
Yes. Well, first of all, this is it. This is the end of season 2. And season 2 has been amazing.
Incredible.
Like, amazing. Our numbers have tripled, and our guests have been amazing, and I feel like we just really found our flow.
And I know that unlike last season where we ended with gratitude, that's not our topic today, but I am so grateful, and I'm sure you are too. We're so thankful to our listeners who've been listening, subscribing, downloading, reviewing. I mean, we've had some really, really kind words in those reviews. It's been just mind-blowing.
Yeah. So we have a little something special for you listeners. We are going to have a little contest. I mean, I guess you could call it that. So as we've mentioned time and time again, reviews and ratings really do help us. They create relevancy. It's how the word spreads. And we mentioned on the last episode that we are going to shout out to all of our new reviewers on the season 3 opener. And so we wanted to give a little more of an incentive. So we are going to offer up a free session with one of us to one of our listeners who participates in helping our relevancy grow. And if you've already participated, you still count. Don't worry.
Do it.
So here's some ways that you can win a free session with us. So it's a 1-hour session with either one of us. You can pick whichever coach you'd like to work with on just a bunch of different topics, which Deana will talk about in a second. Here's how you enter. You get an entry for writing a review, so not just the rating, but the review on iTunes or any platform that you're listening on that allows you to review. Not all of them do, I know that. You also get an entry by following us at Future Focused Parenting, whether that's Facebook or Instagram. And the reason for that is that we are going to be probably moving over predominantly onto the Future Focused Parenting social media sites. And so we want to make sure that our listeners are following us over there.
Yes.
So you get an entry for that. And then finally, you get an entry if you recommend the podcast on Facebook and tag a friend. You have to tag a friend. So 3 different ways to enter. Now, here's the thing. If you've already done one of these things or all of these things, you still get credit. So the only one that we wouldn't be able to track would be the review. So snap a photo of your review, email it to info@futurefocusedparenting.com, and you'll get an entry into the contest. And if you are writing a new review, that's how we'll know as well. So snap a photo of it and email it to us, because the reviews sometimes have funky names and handles and stuff. So that's how you win.
The nice thing is you can include even in your email, hey, if I win, I'd like to work with Kira, or I'm really having trouble getting my infant to sleep. I'd like a session with Deana if I win. So let us know that, because we want to make sure that whoever wins the parent coaching session, it's actually helpful and applicable.
Yes, exactly. So that's the contest news. That's super exciting. We also want to share with you the attribute of the month for June. It's a big one. It's one of my favorites.
I think it is near and dear to your heart. It is empathy.
Yes, it is empathy. So if you haven't signed up for that, make sure you sign up. Hey, you know what? That's another way to win. So go ahead, sign up for the attribute of the month. If you go to futurefocusedparenting.com, hover over the shop tab, and you'll see it at the bottom
there. At the drop down, yeah.
You click it on the drop down. You can sign up. It's totally free. Everyone who's already signed up is also entered to win. But if you sign up for the attribute of the month, we'll give you another entry, and then you can get the empathy attribute of the month into your inbox, and it's filled with lots of great stuff.
Total win-win, and you might get another win. So possible win-win-win.
Yeah, a triple win.
How is that not great?
That's pretty great. That's
so,
3 W's. Do something with that.
I really do. There's got to be an acronym somewhere in there, or some kind of mnemonic device.
I love it. I love it. And then lastly, we just wanted to touch on some listener questions that came in, some feedback that came in. It's been so cool seeing all of that. So keep that up over the break. We love hearing from you. If you have a topic that you're interested in or a question that you want us to cover, info@futurefocusedparenting.com. So one of the pieces of feedback we got was about the postpartum mood disorder episode, and someone wrote in so lovingly and said, "Are you okay now?" to me.
Please let them know, Kira.
And so I thought I had covered this, but I can imagine it's a long episode, you know. So yes, I am okay now. I moved through that. I would say it took me a good year or two to move through it. And now I love being a mom, and I feel all the things that I was worried I was never going to feel at that time. But what I will say is that when like both kids are sick or things suddenly get hard, I'm transported back. There's like this reminiscent feeling of not being enough and not being able to do everything I'm supposed to do. And so I think postpartum mood disorders are things that do stay with you in a way that any trauma stays with you. But on the whole, 99.9% of the time, totally good. Love being a mom, doing great. And this listener also asked, well, how did you do it? Because I mentioned that I didn't use meds.
Right.
So how did I do it? And it was a lot of therapy, like a lot of therapy, and trying to figure out what's going on? Where does it come from? How do I communicate with my partner? How do I communicate with my support system? How do I get my needs met so that I can be the healthiest, happiest version of myself? I think for me too, a huge part was when my kids got older and I started being able to engage with them and talk with them. Suddenly my vision of motherhood was more met. And I think that was part of it. And we talk sometimes about managing those expectations. And I do think that my picture of motherhood didn't look like the reality of it. And that was really hard. So once it started fitting that picture a little bit more, I think I was healthier and happier for it.
Yeah, it's hard when expectations don't match reality. I mean, that's hard in anything. I mean, relationships or becoming a parent, starting a new job. I mean, any time where you could go in with expectations and then it doesn't look like that, that's just a huge challenge. So we have one more little piece of follow-up. Like we mentioned, we got a great listener question. And first of all, I just want to commend this listener because this person doesn't even have kids yet and already has a question. And it was a piggyback off the consumerism episode and tying your belongings to your values. And this listener asked, when a toy comes into your home, are you trying to look at, does this fit? Am I trying to make it match a specific family value? And even down to asking about a specific toy. I think in this instance it was a baby doll. But a great question, and want to really commend you for being so forward thinking that, hey, I haven't even had kids yet and I want to be thinking about how this looks, because that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just briefly share my
Sure.
thoughts on it. The first thought I had was that not putting the pressure on yourself to try and tie everything to your family values, because we just don't need to live like that. I think it's important that your values are strong, that you're parenting toward them, that you're consuming toward them. But we got to have room for a baby doll that maybe doesn't, like, we don't want to like crowbar in, okay, this is how we're going to make this fit our family values. Sometimes it's okay to just buy your kid a baby doll. So I think it's about figuring out where is it really essential that it's tied to family values. So I think the example I gave was my friend Karin did this at Christmas. And she felt like for Christmas, it made sense that everything that came in for Christmas matched a family value. You might want to do it for a birthday, or you could even say the things I'm going to buy you have to match our family values, but what you choose to do with your own money is up to you. Or vice versa. I will buy you the fun stuff, but you need to be using your money to choose selectively things that match our family values. You can do it any way you want, but relieving the pressure of every item in my home must match my family values, as long as it's kind of like what we usually say, what's the exception, what's the rule? So creating a general rule of, we try to make our stuff match our values, and sometimes we buy the Pokemon doll.
And that's
because
where there's
that's okay.
Flexibility, right? And we were saying this before we came on the air today, just how it doesn't mean that every single item there has to be this act of Congress decision, does it match a family value? But I do think it's okay also to piggyback on what you were saying, just that there can be certain categories, certain things that are important to you. I know in our home, it was really important that my kids use their imagination. So even from the time they were infants, for instance, we didn't have toys that like lit up and sang and played music and did all this stuff. We wanted them to play, to be using their imagination, to be kinesthetic. So we had a lot of toys that required physical manipulation, like blocks and puzzles and things like that. Now that was a choice, and it was an intentional parenting choice, and it informed which toys we bought, but that way it didn't mean every single toy had to go through this rigorous examination of, does it match the list hanging on the fridge?
Yeah, Totally. So, listeners, thanks for writing in. We hope those answer your questions. And we are going to get started with our episode. We want to warn you that we're running long today because we have a lot to cover. We're not going to talk to you for about 5 weeks. We're doing it intentionally with a future-focused mindset.
Absolutely.
And so, thank you just for sticking with us today. But we're very excited to talk about organization.
I am chomping at the bit for this one, but
that's it.
That's it for you.
All you get. So if you want to hear the rest of the episode, be sure to listen on Monday, Raising Adults podcast, Future Focused Parenting.
We'll see you then.
Bye.